name is Ty, and I'm currently completing my graduate diploma of teaching profession at Theresa International University. Today I'm very happy to share my reflection for the subject Learning Measurement and Evaluation. This subject has been one of the most eye-opening parts of the program for me because it completely changed the way I think about assessment and how it connects to teaching and learning. Before taking the course, I used to think that assessment was simply about giving tests, checking answers, assigning grades. I believe it was mostly about measuring how much students knew at the end of the lesson or term. But through this subject, I discovered that assessment is actually much more than that. It is a continuous process that helps both teachers and students understand learning progress, strengths, and areas for improvement. In this video, I'm going to reflect on two main points. First, I'll talk about what I've learned from the subject, the key concepts, principles, and assessment methods that helped me grow as a teacher. And second, I'll share my personal feelings and development, how I felt before starting this diploma, and how I feel now that I've completed it. Through this course, we explored many important topics such as the differences between measurement, assessment, and evaluation, the principles of good assessment like validity, reliability, and fairness, and the use of formative and summative approaches to support students' learning. We also studied alternative assessments, like projects and portfolios, which give students more meaningful ways to show what they can do. What I found especially valuable was understanding that assessment is not just about judging performance. It's about guiding students and improving teaching. It's about collecting information that can help make learning better. So in the next part of my reflection, I'll share more details about what I learned from this subject and how my understanding and confidence as a teacher have changed from before to after completing this diploma program. Thank you for listening, and let's begin with what I've learned from the subject Learning, Measurement, and Evaluation. Now, I'd like to share what I've learned from this subject Learning, Measurement, and Evaluation, and how it's changed the way I see my role as a teacher. When I first started the course, I realized that I had always used the words measurement and assessment and evaluation as if they were the same. This subject helped me understand that each one has its own meaning and purpose. Measurement is about collecting data, like scores or marks, to show what the students know. Assessment is a process of gathering information about learning, not only through tests, but also through observation, assignments, and performance tasks. And evaluation is the step where teachers use that information to make judgments and decisions about students' progress or about the effectiveness of teaching. Understanding these differences helped me see assessment as a part of a learning cycle, not just an endpoint. One of the most valuable lessons about the purposes of assessment, formative, summative, and diagnostic. Formative assessment happens during the learning process and helps teachers adjust instruction while students are still learning. For example, using short quizzes, exit tickets, or class discussions to check understanding. Summative assessments, on the other hand, happens at the end, like midterms or final exams. To evaluate what students have achieved, diagnostic assessment helps identify strengths and weaknesses before instruction begins. After learning about these, I realized that formative assessment is especially powerful because it gives students ongoing feedback and helps them learn from their mistakes in real time. The subject also taught me about the principles of good assessment, validity, reliability, fairness, and practicality. Before, I didn't pay much attention to these concepts. Now I understand that the test can only be meaningful if it actually measures what it is supposed to measure. That's validity. It must also give consistent results, and that's reliability. Most importantly, it must be fair to all students, regardless of their background, gender, or language ability. This made me more aware of possible bias in tests and how I can design tasks that give every student an equal opportunity to succeed. We also compared traditional assessments with alternative assessments. Traditional methods like multiple choice tests or written exams are useful for testing knowledge quickly and objectively, but they have limitations. They don't always show how well students can apply what they've learned in real-life contexts. That's where alternative assessments come in, such as performance tasks, projects, and portfolios. These methods let students demonstrate skills, creativity, and problem solving in more authentic ways. For example, instead of just writing an essay, students could give a presentation or complete a group project that shows collaboration and critical thinking. Learning how to use rubrics and scoring guides also helped me how to make grading more transparent and consistent. Another topic that really stood out to me was how to assess different learning domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. For cognitive skill, we use Bloom's taxonomy, which moves from remembering and understanding to applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. This gave me a framework for writing questions that target different thinking levels, not just memorization. For the affective domain, which focuses on attitudes and values, I learned to use self-assessment and peer review to help students reflect on their learning behaviors and motivation. And for the psychomotor domain, which deals with the practical skills, I learned how to use observation checklists and performance assessments. This holistic approach helped me to see students as whole learners, not just test takers. We also explored item analysis, which was very practical. It showed me how to look at test results to see which questions were too easy, too difficult, or unclear. Understanding the difficulty index and discrimination index helps teachers improve the tests over time, making them more accurate and fair. Another big part of the course was data-driven instruction. I learned that the assessment data shouldn't just sit in a folder. It should be used to guide teaching decisions. By analyzing results, teachers can identify learning gaps and adjust lessons to meet students' needs. I realized that this approach makes teaching more responsive and evidence-based. I appreciated learning about technology and assessment. We explored tools like Google Forms, Kahoot, Turnitin, which makes assessment more interactive and effective. I've actually started using some of these in my own classes. For example, Kahoot helps make formative assessment more fun and engaging, while Google Forms allows me for instant feedback and data collection. Finally, the subject that gave us a look into the future trends like AI assessments and gamification and micro-credentials. It opened my eyes to how technology and ethics will shape the future of education. As teachers, we must balance innovation with fairness and privacy to ensure students' work is assessed responsibly. Overall, what I learned from this subject is that assessment is not only about grading, it's about learning. A well-designed assessment motivates students, guides teaching, and supports growth. It helps teachers reflect on their practice and make evidence-based decisions. Before I started this diploma program, I honestly felt quite unsure about my knowledge of assessment and evaluation. I used to think that being a good teacher mainly meant explaining lessons clearly and keeping students disciplined. Assessment to me was just about giving tests and checking homework to see who understood the lesson. I didn't really consider how assessment could guide learning and influence students' motivation. I also remember feeling nervous about grading. I often wondered, am I being fair? Am I giving marks that truly represent what the students know and can do? I didn't have clear systems or rubrics, so grading sometimes felt subjective. At that time, I just followed the way other teachers did it, without understanding the deeper reasons behind those practices. But after completing this diploma, especially this subject, my mindset has changed completely. I've realized that assessment is not separate from teaching. It is part of teaching. And now I see assessment as a tool for learning, not just for judgment. I've learned how to design tests and performance tasks that connect directly to my learning objectives, and how to give feedback that helps students grow. Another big change is how I feel about my confidence as a teacher. Before, I often relied on intuition when evaluating students. Now, I feel more professional and systematic. I understand how to use criteria, rubrics, and data to make decisions that are fair, valid, and reliable. I also feel more empathetic towards students. I've learned that not every low score means failure. Sometimes it's a sign that I need to adjust my teaching or provide more support. This awareness has made me more patient and reflective in my practice. Looking back, I can clearly feel the difference. Before the diploma, I focused more on teaching content. Now, I focus on how students learn and how I can measure that learning effectively. I've developed a deeper sense of responsibility and purpose as an educator. This transformation has been one of the most rewarding parts of the professional growth, and it motivates me to keep improving, learning, and creating assessments that truly support my students' learning journeys. To conclude my reflection, the subject learning, measurement, and evaluation has truly changed the way I understand teaching and learning. I used to think assessment was mostly about giving tests and assigning grades, but now I see it as a meaningful process that helps students and teachers grow together. From this course, I learned how to design fair and valid assessments, how to use feedback to support improvement, and how to apply both traditional and alternative methods to capture different kinds of learning. I also discovered the importance of using assessment data to guide my teaching and the potential of technology to make process more engaging and efficient. Most importantly, this subject helped me to develop a more reflective mindset. I've learned to question my own teaching practices, to look for evidence of learning, and to use that information to make better instructional decisions. It made me realize that good assessment is not just about measuring learning, but also about encouraging it. I'm very grateful to my instructors, Ambarasan, Dr. Ambarasan, Dr. Alfredo, Dr. Anop, Dr. Montian, and I'm probably missing a few names. Thank you very much for supporting us and teaching us, lecturing us the subjects at St. Theresa International University. Also, my classmates, shout out to my friend and my colleague Rangasai, and other classmates, Ria, Owen, Faith, Chan, Shriram, many more, Cornelio, that helped me during this journey and made it fun, enjoyable. I now feel more confident, prepared, and motivated to apply what I've learned and apply to my future teaching career. Thank you very much for watching my reflection, and thank you to St. Theresa International University for giving me the opportunity to grow both as a teacher and as a lifelong learner. Thank you. Signing off.